Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdog's Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, I have an encounter with a jellyfish UFO and ultra-terrestrials today in the articles I have to read you today, folks. Let's start off with the Petrozavodisk jellyfish UFO 1977, a mass Soviet-era encounter over Karelia that changed official UFO policy. Let's get into this article now and read about the event that changed the way Soviets dealt with UFOs. In the early hours of September 20th, 1977, residents of Petrozavodisk in Soviet Karelia witnessed an actual phenomena so strange and prolonged that it triggered international concern and a classified state investigation. The event unfolded in full view of civilians and officials alike, leaving behind physical questions and political consequences that the Soviet Union could not ignore. What exactly hovered over the city for 12 minutes, and why did it force the Kremlin to acknowledge that something unknown had entered Soviet airspace quietly? At approximately 4:05 a.m., dock workers beginning their shift near the shoreline of Lake Onega observed a powerful light rising from the direction of the lake, initially blinding and amorphous. The object moved steadily toward the city of Petrovodisk, where its form appeared to stabilize. Witnesses described the object as resembling a gigantic luminous jellyfish suspended in the sky. From a central glowing mass, long ultra-thin beams of light descended toward the ground, spreading outward in a slow, controlled manner. The beams were described as needle-like, silent, and intensely bright, illuminating rooftops, streets, and industrial structures below. Several observers feared the onset of a nuclear or military attack, an understandable reaction given Cold War tensions and the object's unnatural geometry. The phenomena remained nearly stationary for approximately 12 minutes, showing no conventional propulsion or aerodynamic features. Suddenly, the object altered its shape, compressing into a bright semicircular form before accelerating back toward Lake Onega. As it retreated, witnesses observed what appeared to be a burning red aperture forming in the cloud cover. The object ascended sharply and vanished through this glowing breach, which then dissipated. The event concluded without explosions or casualties, but confusion spread quickly across the city. Reports soon emerged from a broad cross-section of observers. These include police officers, sailors on Lake Onega, ambulance crews responding to unrelated calls, and a journalist from the Soviet state news agency TASS. The journalist's account was published 3 days later under the cautious headline, "A Strange Natural Phenomena Over Karelia." But it just didn't end there, folks. As it was stated earlier, that this event basically led other countries to ask Russia, what was this object that was seen? They feared it was a test of some new type of weapon, maybe nuclear or not, folks. But whatever it was, certainly left Russia with more questions and led to a new group of, UFO investigators that were in service to the Soviet regime till it fell in their, early 90s, folks. Either way, whatever happened was beyond strange, folks. This jellyfish-like living entity could have been some sort of alien itself, or maybe some sort of bioship, much like the manta ray phenomena that is being observed occasionally throughout the United States and the world, folks. Perhaps this jellyfish and other organisms like it, perhaps they're atmospheric beasts, or maybe some actual living spaceships, folks. It's another question we have to ask. Either way, what do you think it was? Do you think it was a real living starship? We don't know. Maybe, one day we will. But folks, let's move on to the next article titled Astral Travel Experiencer Claims Contact with a Metallic Being and Memories of a Lost Martian Civilization. This story details, things that have been theorized and wondered about in paranormal circles for decades now. Let's read the account now and hear what it has to say. In the quiet community of Grafton, Maine, a resident recently reported an extraordinary experience that began as a simple attempt to fall asleep. What followed was a vivid, seemingly physical transition into another realm where she was greeted by a metallic being who called her by name and urged her to remember a forgotten past. If true, this account may offer insight into one of the most enigmatic themes in paranormal research, the idea that some individuals retain hidden memories of ultra-terrestrial origins. Something bizarre happened at home in the past month. I was in bed, struggling to sleep, so I decided to listen to theta wave binaural beats meditation music. After what felt like just a few minutes, I noticed a silver rope hanging above my bed. I reached up to touch it and felt an overwhelming urge to climb. Suddenly, I realized I was no longer in my body, but climbing and clinging to this strange silver rope. I was being lifted higher and higher. I found myself surrounded by a corridor of what seemed like a peach-colored flowers, soft and brushing against my skin. My clothes had changed. I was now wearing a silver dress made from the same material as the rope. I stepped out of the corridor into a strange landscape of unusual grass. The sun was shining, but it was different from the sun on Earth, dimmer, with a golden hue rather than the harsh blue we're used to. I saw animals and plants, trees and flowers that I couldn't fully describe, along with women and children happily playing in the sunshine. A being approached me, distinct from the others, and she knew my name. When she spoke, I felt no fear. It was as if I had known her for a long time. She welcomed me home and said it was time to remember. She was about my height, had metallic skin, was hairless, and had large dark eyes. I mentioned that I felt familiar with this place, but couldn't quite remember it. She explained that this was what home used to look like before the Great War. The masculine and feminine energies had always been in balance until one corrupted creature broke away from the natural order and sought control over everything. This led to the suppression of the feminine and eventually the destruction of our planet. We managed to save some of our children and nurtured them on a neighboring planet. We let them sleep and forget until the time came for them to awaken. It's almost time to come home, she said. Before my eyes, I witnessed a great atomic explosions, watching as plants and animals turned to dust. I realized that I was on Mars. Looking at her, she explained that her appearance had been altered by years of exposure to space radiation. I was her family, and she would return for me. Then everything went dark. I opened my eyes and found it was 6 a.m. Then I felt exhausted. I'm not crazy. I didn't imagine this. My house was filled with the scent of the foreign flowers that lined the corridor I had walked through. I do not drink alcohol or take drugs. I live in Grafton, Maine. P. Now, her story is incredibly odd, folks, because people have said for years now that they are, well, the reincarnations of aliens or elves. This time, folks, we have almost an ethereal fantasy feeling to this story, folks, with this woman describing this alien being that could basically be, either an elf or a alien humanoid, folks. That's the feeling I get here. It really is quite bizarre. Now, it's been said that basically the fair folk and alien extraterrestrial beings are actually one and the same, because if you look at various close encounter stories, folks, or people basically being abducted, you see the same phenomena in centuries-old tales of people encountering fairies, dwarves, and other mythological creatures, folks. So maybe what we think of as myth is actually real, and this story is a good indication of that, folks, because it aligns with ultra-terrestrial theory, but it also has elements of, encounters of the third kind here, folks. But the fact that this woman felt that she left her body, walked through a corridor onto perhaps ancient Mars, folks, and talked with this alien being who says that she was related to her, you also get the sense that maybe this being is trying to perhaps fool this woman, make her think that she's an alien. Now, some people will argue that's probably a demonic being that she encountered, but I do not think so, folks, because a lot of people, like with how many people have described meeting the Pleiadians, or basically the Greys. I think basically with all the accounts of people encountering similar beings like this woman has, that there might be something to it. Either way, folks, it's certainly a bizarre and beyond weird story, folks. Do you think that this woman really did leave her body and go to Mars? I think there's a good chance that such power could exist, folks. Either way, we're now at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics that are bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in descriptions of the chat to go subscribe to me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Make sure to hit the part of the bell that'll give you all future notifications, and please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video, so be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.